Good afternoon, everyone. This is Taylor with Cultured Nerd Podcast. Here we are with another week and another live episode as we're sitting down and talking about, more DC, more Superman, more outdoor filming in Cleveland has been happening, give or take, for the last 8 or 9 days. And with this week, not only did we, as we finished last week's episode, did they have a handful of shots come out that seemingly teased the film's villain, but today they even revealed Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. So today we're going to talk about a lot of things from the production of this film, what James Gunn is saying, and also Zack Snyder teased Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming to theaters, and the internet blew up about it, but possibly it's a big old nothing burger. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and let's just get right into it. And here we are.
Podcast listeners, get ready for a bunch of visual images.
Visual images. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Let me go ahead and make...
Who's taking these pictures? Are these professional scoopers? Are these people with iPhones? Are they getting fancy cameras?
These are everyone. Everyone in between. So let me go ahead and I'm trying to share... Let's copy the link.
Cleveland. This is the biggest thing to happen in Cleveland in a long time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, last big thing that they had going for them was the Drew Carey show. But for everyone who's been in the Cultured Nerd broadcast channel that I set up this last week, they've seen my wonderful progress on making my Gundam, and my Gundam is now completed, and I'm really happy with this guy.
I can't believe how much work you've done. Again, show me that baby. Show me that completed guy. This is the Zero. This is the
It is from that Gundam Build Fighter show, the one that I was like, but in this show, this guy basically took his Gunpla and made a better version of the wing. And I'm not one to say, oh yeah, he totally did, but oh yeah, he totally did. So I love to pieces this version of the wing. I think it's such a cool modern take on the wing, and this build was actually crazy fun. So I have more to. I got to dive into the decals, but he's done. But this baby is done in all his glory. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty jazzed about it. Like, this is for everyone who has been watching and caring. This is the final baby in its completion. It has...
How many hours does it take you to put one of these together?
I don't know. I spent like 5 days, maybe 45 minutes a day. I could probably have done it in 2 hours if I just sat down and did it, but I didn't really had time. It's been babies,
babies all the time.
Yeah, babies all the time.
Also, a Gundam model is death to a baby. A baby cannot be around any of these things. These are all too tiny, intricate of pieces.
Yeah, so this is just me again, building things for my office that is this child is never going to see. And it's going to be a wonderful time of me just not sharing my life with my kids.
Do they still make Gundam toys?
Yeah, they do. Gundam has a series of just actual straight figures called the Gundam Universe. You can buy them at Walmart and stuff, and they're bigger than the 144 scale, but they're smaller than the 1/100 scale. So they're right in the middle, and they're pretty damn cool. Very good quality. I've kind of been tempted to go buy one and just kind of go around with my panel liner and just make it look more weathered and just make it look cooler, but it's pretty rad. I like them.
Is it the best of Gundams, or are they doing by sets?
So they have waves upon waves right now, and I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they've got the Exia from Gundam Zebolo, they've got the Barbatos from they've got 1 or 2 or even 3 to 4 figures for each series so far. Even some of the weird ones, I saw Leo from Gundam Wing, the random putty of that series, just the random thing. So yeah, no, I mean, they've got a lot of stuff, and it's pretty rad. And some of them, for people who play on the gaming sphere of Gundam, there's an online Gundam game that they have, a Gundam something. I can't remember. I played it for a little bit, but
It's not the fighting game one, right? It's not the
no,
one
no.
that's
It's like an actual like you
Okay.
have like a base and you like are kind of like making a private military entity and you're trying to like build Gundams and like stuff and you go out and deploy and things.
It's so funny, like that's sometimes what the bad guys do in the show, but like Iron Blooded Orphans, they were making the forces, so it was good people doing it then.
Yeah. So I mean it's interesting. It's a cool game. That's all I can I played it just a little bit, but it's different.
Build your forces.
Yeah, but the game
recruit new pilots.
Yeah, so like what the game does is, I mean, it's online, it's free to play. It's got all the little like free to play little quirks where you can like
do a genocide on North America.
Yeah, pretty much. But you if you buy some of these figures, they come with like certain suits you can unlock in the game. So it's like, there's like those little purchase like incentives.
The next app I am waiting with bated breath. I can't believe that it's taken so long. Did you see that Pokemon trading card game that you just open packs daily? So it's like a slot machine every day.
Oh, it is the natural succession to the current Pokemon game trading card game app that they have. I play it from time to time just to remind myself how to play the game because we used to play it a lot when we were kids, and then like we stopped.
I enjoy a game of Pokemon. I think Pokemon cards take a lot longer than other card games.
Do they really? I mean, I thought Magic the Gathering had like such a more complex system that I was just like, I can't do this. And then Pokemon was like, oh, this is easy.
High level Pokemon is crazy, and I can't play it. I'm not smart enough for it. But like a casual game of Pokemon, I do enjoy it. I also think that the Game Boy game. I feel like I played so much of that because you would unlock stuff and then I would just like go fight at this gym, go get more cards.
Yeah, very much so. I like that game. The Pokemon trading card game, Game Boy Advance game. That was a fun game.
I'm sad that they didn't do more stories around the card game. Like just make a new world and you go to card shops and you just do it again.
I've always thought it was interesting, and this is going to be our last little tangent before we start getting into the real stuff. With the Pokemon universe, there's always been like 3 or 4 concurrent canons of how the universe actually displays itself.
Sure.
Like the game is one way of showing how the world is, and then you've got like the TV show, which had a different way of showing the world, and then you had like the trading card game was like another way of showing the world, and then there was even the Pokemon animated OVAs, which is another way. Like none of them actually line up with each other on how the world is displayed, and they're all just absolutely like there's some big disparities in how each of these worlds are shown. But I think it's just kind of like it's kind of funny, but also kind of cool in its own way.
Well, there is a new world emerging, and it is coming on the streets of Cleveland, where iPhone and a couple of Android users have gotten exclusive pictures of upcoming characters. For some reason, even though you told me there was more shooting, I didn't think we were going to get the goods.
Yeah. So it's funny. The other day, James Gunn was asked, are you worried about all the filming? He's like, no, because I knew this was going to happen. I knew the moment we filmed outdoors, everyone would see everything. So no, this is not even the bulk of the spoilers. So, which is fantastic news because we do know that they spent months filming on a soundstage and nobody saw a damn thing. So This is just like, it really feels like this is kind of what happened with Shazam, where there was like 2 or 3 days of filming outside and it was maybe 10 minutes of the movie. And that's what we're getting here is maybe like 10 solid minutes of the movie. But the bulk of it is not here. But as always, since we are live, since people are going to inevitably ask about it, spoiler alert. I made a new spoiler alert tag because I couldn't find the last one.
Is it a spoiler if we're talking about characters that are in the IMDb credits of the movie?
Yes, but I'm also going to talk about other things. So
okay. Spoiler alert.
Okay. So anyways, right off the bat, some really cool iconic shots of David as Superman. The internet has been really funny about this where they're like, damn, his cape is a character all in itself.
Yeah.
I was like loving how flowy and amazing his cape is going.
Cape is a big deal. Listen, The Incredibles made Cape not popular anymore, but like we grew up in a time of Spawn Cape. Cape is definitely part of the look.
I like Spawn's Cape because Spawn's Cape is like a character on its own, and it's living and it's ridiculous. And the movie made it even more ridiculous. But you know what? Whatever. I enjoy it for what it is.
They gave Doctor Strange a cape.
Yes. So no sooner did we finish last week's episode than more footage popped up of Superman getting his ass arrested. And with this episode, with these shots, we saw the engineer, and we also saw, if you look in the middle, we saw Rick Flag Sr., played by Steve Grillo. So we know that Rick Flag Sr. from the Creature Commandos is officially crossing over into this movie. And then we saw this dude in the almost Doomsday style bodysuit with a big old U on his chest, which goes right back to our podcast a few months ago, where we said that there were some rumors about one of the villains of the film being Ultraman, which that's the Ultraman U. But with the details behind the scenes, again, this is going to be the bigger spoilers part of the whole episode, so I'm just going to spoiler alert again. The big rumor behind the scenes is that this character is, yes, his name is Ultraman. He is a government endorsed super soldier, quote unquote. Essentially, he is actually a Lex Luthor created clone of Superman made by Amanda Waller and Cadmus Labs. He is Ultraman. He starts to go through cellular degradation and essentially becomes Bizarro. So the villain of the movie is still Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is the villain, but his big chess piece pawn is a Superman clone that goes by Ultraman, who eventually becomes Bizarro.
Hot dog. I also love that we know that Superman is willingly going with these people. You cannot stop Superman, but he has decided to go along and find out what's going on.
Right. So he is letting himself get arrested in order to not have collateral damage be a bigger issue.
It makes so much sense to get into cloning Superman so that you can then get all of the other great, right? That's how you get Superboy. Isn't there a range of characters that are all stem from the DNA of Superman?
Yeah, like Cadmus Labs just being Cadmus. You could go right into now we have Supergirl, so obviously Power Girl may be a thing right off the bat. So that's going to be a lot of cool stuff right off the bat. I love it.
You think we just see them all in test tubes? We see a blonde hair in a test tube. We see a dog in a test tube. We just see a bunch of test tubes.
I don't think so, because the big word on the street is that Supergirl is going to land at the end of this film, and she's going to kind of lead into her movie as now she's here, but now she wants to find herself and not be in her cousin's shadow because her husband is Superman.
And it makes sense to have a big world filled with lots of characters so that she can go interact with them.
Exactly. So with this, they showed off this character and some other really fun set photos. Will Reeves, Christopher Reeves' son, has been spotted on set filming a scene. It sounds like this gentleman, Christopher Reeves' son, Will, is actually a reporter for ABC News, and it sounds like he may be being a reporter in this universe as well. Just a nice little nod to his dad.
Is he an actual actor, or is this just a good?
He's actually a reporter in real life.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Great, because it's crazy. Because part of the internet is going to look at this guy and go, "Why isn't this guy Superman?"
Yeah, so it's really funny. I've been seeing a lot of funny shit on the internet about this exactly, where people are like, "Oh, James Gunn is just pandering to Superman and Christopher Reeves and all this stuff," and yet in Man of Steel, Zack Snyder had the young fella who played the toddler Superman from Superman 78 as one of the soldiers right in the front of the camera. So every director does cameos and every director does nods to Christopher Reeves. So everyone who says that this is nepotism or pandering or anything, just look at any one of the damn
He's
movies.
A guy in one scene of the movie. It's not nepotism. Okay,
it's stupid. It's ridiculously ridiculous.
They're filling out a big movie. There's lots of parts.
So, as last week we talked about Mr. Terrific, I'm going to throw that shot up from last week where we saw Mr. Terrific and all of his goodness, and everyone loved the suit, but they were like, "Oh, there's some interesting alterations there. He's not straight up comic Mr. Terrific, but he's still Mr. Terrific." This week, today, we found out that his outfit is part of a uniform. And this uniform is
Oh,
all three of the characters, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific, are wearing uniforms.
what a goofy looking Green
Yeah,
Lantern. What a
it's
fun
so
Green Lantern to start off
it's
with.
so good. It's so ridiculous. But eagle-eyed fans had noticed right off the bat that all three of these heroes, including Metamorpho, they're either going to be a modernized take on the Terrifics, or they're going to be essentially Justice League International, which is how you tie back into Maxwell Lord, because all three of these characters on the chest of each of their outfits has the Lord Tech logo smack dab right in the center.
That's fun. So this is like the good Lex Luthor.
So everyone in the comics, I guess everyone on the internet lately thinks Max Lord is just some evil, super bad guy, right? But the change of his character becoming the bad guy was more of a modern change. It was in the mid to late 2000s, while the character was initially created as kind of this like sleazy used car salesman kind of a guy who was essentially the corporate manager of the Justice League.
Is not, there's no way this is Justice League. This is some other group, because the end of this movie is Superman saying, hey, we do need a team, and I'm going to be in charge of it because I can't trust this government. They made Bizarro.
So what's probably going to happen, and this is where we're going to get back into like a little spoiler territory. We know that the Metamorpho, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern are all part of, and Mr. Terrific are all part of this Justice League International inspired, Terrifics inspired, Maxwell Lord League of whatever the hell they're going to call it. They are this corporate entity of superheroes.
The Lord League.
Yeah, I really hope that's what they call it.
They have Lord come and do a song with them.
The Lord League, yeah. So
they're superheroes to kill you.
Yeah, so they're going to have this this interesting twist on them. And what's interesting about this is one very specific thing. James Gunn has stated from the beginning that one of his big inspirations of this universe has been Alex Ross's Kingdom Come. And Kingdom Come showed the world in kind of a disarray where superheroes are crossing lines, their collateral damage is nothing. And what we're hearing from behind the scenes on the set, from the people on the set, is that he's doing a reverse Kingdom Come, where you have the corporate sponsored superhero team, the Justice League International, the JSA, or whatever you want to call them. I'm assuming they're just the JSA, but they also could be the Lord League, or whatever you call them, or the Terrifics. I'm referring to them as the JSA because a lot of the members are JSA members.
It's fun. Plus, that's only the three that we see in the field.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we already saw some other set photos of a dude in a giant like mocap suit, which we know is Metamorpho. So Metamorpho's going to do some shit.
Okay.
But we obviously not going to see Metamorpho because the guy is like essentially a super scroll, but a dude.
Director's brother is playing
Max Lord.
That's great.
That's the sleazy car salesman.
That's really fun.
Manager of the characters. Yeah. What's interesting is you have the reverse of the Kingdom Come. Like you have the corporate sponsored superhero team. You've got the government sponsored superhero team. You've got and you have all of these things. And then the word on the street is that Superman is at odds with kind of the whole structure because he's coming out and showing his way. And his way is obviously the iconic Superman, the better way to be a hero. He's not only inspiring society, but he's inspiring the other heroes, the ones that have sold themselves out, who are like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So my guess is that these corporate heroes are going to basically by the end of the movie say, okay, we're done. We don't want to be a part of this. And they're going to just shed their outfits and become like the normal versions. I mean, even in the top corner, you can see Mr. Terrific in his like terrific glider. And there's the mocap dude who's clearly Metamorpho. But they're all talking here with Superman. And again, Superman's cape is a whole damn character on its own. It's just so damn good. But you have all of these things happening behind the scenes.
This looks like a very funny scene. This seems like I don't know, like he's pitching him something, right? Like I don't.
What it seems like is that he has saved the day. He has done what he's done, and these heroes are all kind of leaving, but they're all like, we kind of realize your way is the correct way. and we're going to kind of do our own thing. But maybe eventually, when we get the team restructured, maybe you should join us. And that's what I believe that the scene is him basically like saying, hey, we should start a team, but maybe we shouldn't do the Max Lord idea. And they kind of moving on from there. So it definitely seems to me that this new take is just, yeah, I like this. Maybe it's the Justice Lords. I love that idea. It's like not the bad guy Justice Lords from the cartoon, but it's like Max Lord's Justice Team.
I love it. I think however he wants to put his stamp on this, I think this is great. I also think this is very early on in the movie stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think it could be early on, not even midway, but I definitely sounds like one of the bigger reveals of the movie is a like almost a Superman animated series, kind of a confrontation where Superman flies down to Lex's balcony and says, I know you did this. Obviously, I can't prove it, but I'm going to keep my eye on you. And he's going to be like, come at me, bro. And like, nothing's going to happen with it because he's like, you can't stop me. I'm immune to your crap. I'm like, and it's going to be a very interesting dynamic where Lex Luthor is probably going to run for president at the end of this film. He's probably going to be the guy who's like, look, I can get away with murder. I cloned Superman. I let him loose on the city. He went bad, and my hands are still clean because it was all pinned down on everyone else.
Or he saves the day, right? He's the person that saves the day, and he's like, you got to vote me. I'm the only person doing anything about
I'm the only human that willing to stand up to the metahuman crisis.
Yeah.
And something like that where and then you have all the stuff where you hear like behind the scenes that the engineer, the engineer is going to be recruited to the Authority at the end of the film. So it's like right off the bat, you see her with Frank Grillo's character, and the one that everyone is trying to say is Ulysses, which essentially is possibly Ulysses, possible Ultraman, but it definitely is Ultraman.
Any chance we get Peacemaker in this movie?
No chance. There's too much stuff going on. I doubt he'd be in there. Maybe on the TV or something. Maybe some like wanted. This dude is
this good.
Yeah. But it definitely looks like this film is kind of poking fun at the idea of corporate sponsored superheroes. Because like to me, it comes right off the bat where it reminds me of the Fantastic Four movie where Johnny Storm was like, I'm going to do this like NASCAR. And he had like patches all over his body and he was all like sporting out all this nonsense. And then you also had that wonderful early 2000s superhero parody movie called Mystery Men.
Yeah, Greg Kinnear, where he's got all the corporate
Greg Kinnear, who literally has like the sponsored patches all over his body. And he's like, what did they call him in that show? Captain Amazing? It was Captain Amazing, yeah? And he was literally just a corporate sponsored shill of a hero. And he had basically kind of like the Go-Go Loser Rangers thing where his whole deal was he was breaking out villains and like pitting them against him so he could get corporate sponsorships. And then it just went bad. So it was that's a great movie that's way ahead of its time.
What's the name of the bad guy? It's something Frankenstein.
Casanova Frankenstein.
Casanova. Disco's dead. Disco's not dead.
Disco is alive. And that was Eddie Izzard. That's so great to me that was Eddie Izzard, who was leader of the Disco Boys.
Boy. What a movie.
What a movie. Paul Rubens as the what did they call him?
The spleen.
Like, the spleen, yeah, because his power was like toxic farts. Such a funny movie.
It's a great movie.
Funny movie. But no, I definitely see that this movie is going to be kind of what people are not expecting. I mean, from the set photos, we see these almost silly-looking Justice League International members, and you have Superman, who's clearly not one of them, but they're aiding him in whatever's going on. So it definitely feels like Superman is going to inspire the heroes
and it
to go against their corporate overlords.
It shows a level of understanding of the hero, of Superman, because it's not only that Superman is a better version of humans, right? He is the Superman, but he's like a better version. Like our government's not as good as Superman, right? Like he is better than all of these other entities. And I'm excited to see him inspire these things. I'm also wonder what evil will be introduced to the world to combat this. And I also wonder when Batman shows up.
I do too. We know that Batman's already existing in this world, but he's probably not going to be in the public eye yet. Okay. He's probably going to be existing with his sidekicks in the cesspool that is Gotham City, and there's going to probably be a reference to the mythic Bat of Gotham. But what we have here in this unique film is that we're going to see the world in almost a not quite the boys level parody of the world, but you're going to see this idea that the corporate entity, the government entity, has overstepped. And Superman is going to basically inspire people and inspire heroes to a higher level of everything.
Okay.
So I'm really digging this idea that it's going to be like the reverse Kingdom Come, and it's not going to be like the old heroes coming back to re-inspire the young ones. It's going to be Superman coming in to say, "Hey, there's a better way."
Yeah.
And it's going to be a very interesting take on it. So I really do like that.
Do you think the other superheroes stop Superman from saving the day? And they're like, hey, buddy, this one's ours, okay?
I think they're going to try. And I think that's where they're going to realize that the way the system is going is that to be truly able to help everyone, you can't be beholden to the corporate overlords.
I saw the video of Superman walking into frame and all the children running to him, and he embraces all the children. He's like, I love children.
Yeah, so I'm definitely liking that. It definitely feels like this movie is going to do a lot of All-Star Superman, where like you're gonna have a lot of these public moments where the children are like, Superman is our hero, and it's gonna be really cool.
Do you think we get the funny scene where the kids are like, "You're a doo-doo head, Mr. Lantern," and he's like, "Please, children, don't use that language."
Maybe. I mean, you're probably gonna see some kids saying, "Wow, dude, like awesome haircut," and just mocking his hair, and they're probably gonna be making fun of that because. As everyone had hoped from the very beginning, Guy Gardner has the bowl cut. Like, how are we not just like, this is great. The bowl cut. There it is. Like, it's amazing.
Hawkgirl's gonna have wings in post.
Yes, obviously. Like they have to. I mean, she's got her mace kind of cut out in the photo there. She's obviously flying away right there, but she's got her mace, but she's also got her corporate outfit. And I mean, this is probably Isabella Mercad's biggest role yet because, I mean, she went from the Transformers movies to like she was Dora the Explorer, then she was recently in Madam Web, and now she's actually a character in a superhero costume for more than a flashback. So here we go. She is now, what is she, 22 now? I don't know. But she is now like at the peak of the superhero echelon, and she's still a child compared to everyone else in the cast. So this is just absolutely great.
Like the chat just said, she's an alien. Do you think they'll do something?
Is she though? But that's the thing, is that so we know that Hawkman and Hawkgirl are, yes, they have alien backgrounds, they have Thanagarian backgrounds, but they've also got that curse of Egypt thing, so they could just be humans not understanding their past life situation yet. So,
yo, what is the curse of Egypt? I only knew them as aliens. Is there also a supernatural explanation for them?
Yeah. So one of the bigger things about the history of Hawkman and Hawkgirl was that, yes, they were originally aliens. They were Thanagarians, but there was also this, like, they were cursed to constantly be reincarnated and never actually allowed to enter the afterlife. So both her and Hawkman, every time they die, they get reborn and they just come back another century as like another person.
Hawkman, born through the centuries.
Yeah.
So does that mean that theoretically we could also see this Hawkgirl get her neck snapped in half and then a baby is born and like little wings pop out?
100%, because that's how it works in the comics. Yeah. So 100%, because that's how it works in the comics. Like reincarnation, one dies and then the next one, boom, there she is.
Wow. Okay, so so there's flexibility with these characters that they're not set in stone. They could be in peril.
Yeah, especially the ones that have the reincarnation plot armor built into them.
Do you think we see Hawk Dude?
Not yet. No. I don't know if this version of Hawkgirl even knows about her heritage yet. I think Hawkman's going to show up as like a bit older and say, by the way, I've been looking for you forever.
Yeah, she might just think she's a bird lady.
Yeah. And then find out that there's a whole race of Thanagarians on another planet. And they're like, you're the one that we lost like 100-something years ago. Like,
isn't that like a ton of superhero stories? The baby they lost comes back later.
Yeah. So it could be a very interesting play of it. So switching gears, Zack Snyder went to his Vero and dropped the bombshell of, want to see Zack Snyder's Justice League on the big screen? Stay tuned for a date. And this should have been a big giveaway for a lot of people because he said, stay tuned for a date.
One date.
So
a singular date. One night he's
after
gonna
he
do
dropped
this.
after he dropped this, the internet was like, oh my god, wide release, theatrical release, it's going to be everywhere, let's go see this shit, let's go see this, oh my god, it's happening. Then today it's playing at the Egyptian, and it was revealed that there's like 1 or 2 showings at the Egyptian as a special super duper 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 limited release.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
not,
not
2 showings release.
Great. If you want to go see it, but it's not going to wider release.
Yeah, so it was kind of a bummer because everyone was like, oh my god, wide release, and it would have been great. It would have actually been great timing. Put the movie out, rein in some capital, let this happen, and then just kind of like give everyone their closure. But at the same time,
there's not a lot of movies coming out this year.
Exactly.
It might have done well, but they only have the one print, right? They didn't make more prints of it. He has a print that he's shown. Okay.
The print that he has is his copy. Like, not even like the completed copy. It's like his previs copy. Like, that's the one that he has. But everyone has a copy of it on their shelves now. I mean, everyone owns Zack Snyder's Justice League in one form or the other. So I think what it came down to was that people were expecting this to be a wide release, but at the same time, this is a 4-hour-long film. Most theaters would not have picked it up. They would have been like, no, that's too long. We have other films we can show.
Right. How long is Minions for? 90 minutes?
Probably. And they get like 7, 8, 9 showings a day, 10 showings a day.
They'll just like pack that theater.
Yeah, and Minions 4 is not even like Inside Out is the one that's blowing up theaters right now, surprisingly. Are you drinking out of a Batman cup?
Yeah, I got Batman cups.
Okay, because I have mine here too. You have. Is that your Robin cup?
This is Robin cup.
Here's my Batman cup.
Yeah. Buddies.
Can we like?
Can we do a internet thing?
Turn it the other way.
No, it's the right way.
No, it's the other way. It's
the other way for you. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Click. No, it doesn't work, Taylor.
It doesn't work. Whatever. We got our cups. But no, it's kind of a bummer that it was kind of like the internet grabbed onto it thinking that it's going to be a wide release, and probably not going to be. So
yeah, we're again still too early. We're on the hype train of James Gunn's Superman pictures. Why would they release this to just get a bunch of people sad when none of this is going to turn into anything? Yeah. I'm happy to know that he has a good relationship with, I think Amazon bought the Egyptian. So like, that's really great that he's like showing movies there, and maybe he can show some more movies there. And maybe this can become a thing that he shows it there a lot. But the way that's going to happen is people got to go see this.
Right. And but the other thing is that we also need to know, the studio is still allowing him to show this. It's not like he's allowed, like, you can't go to movie theaters and just say, hey, I want to play my DVD for an audience. Like, you're not legally allowed to do that. So the studio still signed off on this.
So what if he rented the theater for his business, where his business was showing potential investors his movie?
Cool.
Well, because you know how you go to the movie theater, they're like, rent this space for your event. It's like, what are you playing? Like, you're not just going to like play Inside Out 2 in the background.
Why not?
Did you see it? I have not seen it.
I've not seen it yet. The first one was cute, but it was also like, there was that part with like the imaginary friend that like ripped my heart out of my butt. And I'm like, I don't know. I never even had an imaginary friend, but now I'm sad as hell. So I don't know.
I also did not have an imaginary friend. Maybe we should invent a third guy.
Just have like an empty camera staring at a wall.
We just don't know where Brad is, but we're real sad about Brad.
Ironically, Brad Pitt was the Invisible Man in a Deadpool.
That's
so
true.
That'd be a really funny gag. Just be like, oh, we have that guy here.
I could see that as an alternate, as the ending scene of the movie after the credits.
Brad Pitt showing up again?
He just like takes off his mask. He's like, I've been here this whole movie and no one's talked to me once. I've been standing here this entire time and no one ever gave me any acknowledgement.
Yeah. That'd be funny, honestly. But no, he's supposed there. If you've been watching all the trailers that have come out, there's already been a couple nods to the Vanisher being in the room at the birthday scene, but he's invisible, so they don't have to do anything about it. I like this comment right off the bat. a lot of people bringing up Snyder costumes with today's set photos, but there's still room for both to be great. And there is. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't like Snyder's costumes. I'm a huge fan of Snyder's work. I love the design aesthetic for pretty much every character that they've done. Ben Affleck's Batman was probably one of the best designs. It's just Frank Miller's Batman without the underwear. Like, it's just fantastic. Like, win across the board. I do kind of agree with some people that the Superman costume was kind of more, it was a little bit too alien and less welcoming as some of the other, like, I loved its costume, but anytime you put Superman in a muted colors kind of a suit, it makes it seem like Superman is not a hero of the people. It's kind of a weird feeling. I love how they did it, but I have my laundry list of gripes for the Snyder universe, and they're all superficial. Like, I didn't like how Clark Kent and Superman didn't have really any difference between the two of them. Like, it was just Superman with some glasses.
Right.
And he didn't change any of his mannerisms. He walked around like he was Superman wearing glasses. And they also didn't do anything with him. I think of all the cast members in BVS, Clark Kent / Superman had the least dialogue out of any character.
He got that one scene, right? He gets the one scene where he wakes up and goes back, and then that's it.
Yeah, like there's very little that he actually says in the film. So they didn't really give Henry Cavill a great chance to show him as Clark Kent because we didn't really get it. But no, I think people who are unfairly comparing everything, I kind of go back into this. So for the longest time in psychology, they used to treat nostalgia as a mental illness. As a person's inability to let go of the past and embrace the future. And that was something that they had actually diagnosed as a mental illness. And then today, in the realm of social media, we do this shit almost on a daily basis. We're like, oh, we cannot accept Henry Cavill as Superman because Christopher Reeve was the Superman. We cannot accept Brandon Routh as Superman. Or we can't accept, like, they're holding on to other versions of the characters with such a ferocity that it's honestly quite annoying because you can like these things and they can exist, but you don't have to be a dick about it.
Well, that's an interesting segue, and it makes me think about what are the rumblings about this Luke movie or this Star Wars thing with Luke being a part of it, and it very clearly can't be Mark Hamill. But it will be a Mark Hamill, but it's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Will people see that? Will people want to see that? Will the character be strong enough to carry people over?
I do. I think so. I mean, what we've seen so far, we have the Acolyte is on episode 6 now of 8. And
this was a boring episode.
This was a boring episode. It
they
was
should
a
have just
episode 5.
Yeah.
Episode 5 was fantastic. Episode 6 was like, wow. What's happening?
Just lost all of its momentum.
All the momentum went down the drain. And to me, this is actually just another indicator that Lucasfilm is falling into a very stupid trend where you had Mandalorian seasons 1, 2, and 3 were all essentially standalone. Book of Boba Fett was a very standalone season. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a very standalone season. All had complete stories. And then you had Andor, which didn't finish its story because they know season 2 is coming. You had Ahsoka, didn't finish its story because they know season 2 is coming. And now we have the Acolyte, which the showrunner is saying, oh, I saved all this for season 2. And everyone's like, why the hell is season 2 even being talked about? We don't like season 1.
Right.
So it's like a lot of people are getting fed up with the fact that they're not even finishing their stories anymore. And they're doing that stupid thing where they're like, we're going to get you hooked, or we're going to do the Lost thing where we just don't give you any mysteries. But unfortunately, Lost was pretty good. This is not. And I'm having such a hard time with this show because for every one success they have, you have 12 missteps.
The wonderful, beautiful Jesse Cox said that like 75% of Star Wars is garbage, but 25% of the time it's like, wow, that's some like really cool stuff. And I think that is true of this as well. I'm wondering if they can stick the landing in the last 2 episodes. I know we're going to get another fight, but I don't know if it'll be strong enough.
No, the fight we're gonna get is gonna be the flashback of them massacring the witch families.
You don't think you get a soul versus the guy with the helmet on again? Also, the fact that you can't see anything in that helmet, I thought was dope. The fact that you just with one, I love that they showed it and it sounded creepy. I loved it.
That was the one thing I liked about this new episode where he's like, oh yeah, this metal is catorsis. Everything that we were like, yeah, it is. But then he was like, it's also a sensory deprivation system. I'm like, oh, that's pretty rad. Like,
yeah, like he's using the Force. He's like more using the Force than the Jedi were.
Yeah. But I also noticed that a lot of fans very quickly realized that the green chick is probably the bad guy.
He wants the power of 2. This episode they kept showing the whip scar on his back.
Yeah.
They showed her being
with the whip lightsaber.
They showed her with the whip lightsaber, but it also showed her being really mean. It
also showed her being overly like, I need to go figure out what's happening. I got to go myself. I got to do this, because she was being overly attentive. So you're like, okay.
Now, I think that plot doesn't have anything to do with this Sith guy.
Well, I hope it does.
Because
I hope
he said he told the witch girl, I want the power of 2. Yeah, I know about it. So like, I do like the idea of Osha becoming his dark apprentice. Do you think that's also being set up?
I don't think Osha's going to be his apprentice. I think that would be kind of a cop out for everyone who's been like paying attention, because Osha's not like a dark character at all. And
so do you think we're going to, okay, so this is what we're going to find out. Green-haired woman was this kid's master.
Yeah, she was probably the Jedi that like took it too far and became like
beat him, did mean things to him, thought he was dead, and now he's back.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then they're going to chalk that off to, this guy has just been trained by a fallen Jedi, and there's still no Sith. It's just a fallen Jedi. So,
but he wants to be a Sith.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like all the promises they made for the show have not happened. And they have 2 episodes to wrap up enough to get people who want to see a season 2. And if they make a season 2, no one's not going to.
There's no way. The next episode is going to be Soul spilling his guts and telling us about the
time that they massacred all the witches.
And what happened and who covered it up.
Yeah, exactly.
But then where do we see? Okay, so then we go to the last episode, and how do May and Osha fix everything? They're going to use. Okay, so they use the power of 2, and they're going to defeat Smilo Ren. But then does Soul defeat the green head lady?
I hope so.
Okay,
but it definitely sounds like Soul's going to like turn himself in and be like, I was so bad.
This show is such a fuck you to Star Wars fans. They didn't even give us the Wookiee fight. They teased that fight, and we didn't even get that fight.
Exactly. Like they don't even. I don't know if they even. I don't know. It feels like very much like they're trying to deconstruct Star Wars in a way that's nobody's happy with.
Listen, I like the exercise of the critique. I think that I wish Star Wars was a strong enough brand to tell this story. I think that they've told this story in other ways and it's been more successful. But you're right. I don't think no one's going to want more of this. I don't even know what we're doing. Also, where do we even go in a season 2? Like either the girls are forgiven or they go on the run. But it's like, if we go on the run, that's basically what we saw this season.
Pretty much, yeah. There's not enough interesting plot points they can really do to warrant a second season. And they're trying to drag out a story that, like, the thing is, the cast is doing a great job. I'm not faulting the cast. The directing has been okay. The stunt team has done wonders. Like, episode 5 proved that the stunt team on this show is probably the best Star Wars has ever had.
And understand that Taylor is talking about the crazy worlds of people that have to bring this to life. Yeah. That it isn't just Leslie Headland who came and made this idea. She was part of it. But this whole ecosystem of people bring this story. And there's some garbage stuff in it, but like, God, I love a good lightsaber fight. Him killing Jackie, like, let's go. Like,
yeah,
that's
like
all.
that was just like lightsaber. Then, oh, by the way, it's a knife. Stab, 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 stab. I was like, damn, that was pretty rad. Like, that was
and like raises the bar of Star Wars in a fun way. I just sucks that it's wrapped in this package.
Yeah, it wasn't a great package to wrap it in. I honestly think that. I'm just reading this. The Acolyte is going to go the way of Rian Johnson's new Star Wars movie. I don't think Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie is even happening because there was enough people to like say that they didn't like that movie enough to where they don't want to invest that kind of money anymore. And I think that's kind of where we're at, is that people just they're not responding to this like at all.
Well, I think they forgot what their audience was. I think they forgot. They have, to use a line of Stephen King, they have forgotten the face of their fathers. And I think that that's part of this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my fear is that Star Wars just becomes a B TV series.
It's looking like they're turning it into that because they're not paying attention to the fans anymore.
Yeah. Which is one of the things that was like one of the, and the old arguments of what's better of Star Trek or Star Wars. The thing you could say about Star Wars was that it was just movies, they were, there was kind of that level above. Right.
And now the quality seems to be lacking because for every Andor that we've had, we now have an Acolyte.
Yeah. And while there was some good stuff in that Obi-Wan show, boy, is there a lot of garbage in that show.
And it was for the same reasons. It was the stuff that nobody wanted that was being shoehorned in.
See, but what's funny is I also think that this is the community. I liked Ahsoka. Did most people not like Ahsoka?
No, I think everyone unanimously liked Ahsoka.
Okay.
Because that's why everyone was like, okay, Dave Filoni can cook. Let's let him cook. So
that's my fear in all of this, that we're tearing down these easy prey Star Wars things, and they're just going to go, you know what? We're not doing any of this anymore.
Well, they still make their money. But I think what's going to happen is Bob Iger is going to do what he always does and says, cut down the crap. No more getting adventurous. Let's go with the stuff that works. And Dave Filoni, you have to deliver. And he's going to deliver because all the stuff that he's delivered has been what people have responded to.
Yeah.
Like the Mandalorian franchise, the Ahsoka, like everyone has shown up. So I think in the end, it's going to be fine. But we're not going to get them getting adventurous anymore with Star Wars like they did with this.
Do you think that this show needed all those other shows, there's been big surprises, big legacy characters. Do you think this show needed not Conehead guy who now conflicts, right? Like all that stuff. Do you think this show needed a Yoda? Do you think we needed Yoda to be here or a baby Yoda?
And it would have Yoda being here would have made more sense than a character that shouldn't have been alive yet. So I think they kind of shit the bed on themselves by doing that, by putting in a character and breaking canon.
Make Master Yoda the one who has to take down Soul, who calls him and like, hey, you've been polluted. I guess Soul was the puppet of this green-haired lady.
Yeah, who's undoubtedly the bad guy. But again, it's another one of those Hollywood nepotism things where the green-haired lady's married to the director. So people are like, oh, so here it is. We're going to just make the big bad the green-haired lady, the green bald chick. That's
the green bald chick. It makes me so sad that we didn't see her teeth and her use her lightsaber earlier. Like this was a weird reveal, but they did the reveal and then who it was in the same episode. Like literally, it's the thing I hated. It's the thing they're like, I hated the last Rey movie and gang because it would be like Chewbacca's dead. 2 minutes later, Chewbacca's fine.
He's not. Yeah.
It was just all felt like it was on fast forward and like this as well. It was like, well, she hit that kid. She's a child hitter.
Yeah, we get it. She's the bad guy.
She's a child hitter. She's a bad guy. She was mean to that little that sad British boy. There was a
Like,
fight and a scuffle.
you can see that what they were doing, what she was doing was pretty much saying, no, the Sith aren't alive. Saul's the bad guy. Like she was manipulating that Padawan into making the accusation that Saul was a fallen Jedi, so she could cover up the nonsense.
Right. Do you think she raised this? Do you think she's been training this kid in secret, or what's his name?
I think she tried to at one point and then abandoned him, thinking that he wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and he like did his own thing.
Yeah.
So is he actually a Sith? No, because he's just doing Jedi stuff.
He even said that you can call me a Sith, and I think the idea was that he was trying to co-opt the name because that's what he believes he is.
Right, but he's not doing lightning or any of that stuff. He still just wants to be like a dude with the Force.
Yeah, he was a Jedi.
The show just got me. Like, oh, like that's kind of a dick of the Jedi to like tell people what to do. Why can't he just be a Force guy by himself if he's not doing anybody harm? Has the Acolyte just poisoned me with its fucking poison pill? Like, did I just buy the narrative?
You just bought right into it. Like, why is the Jedi such a bad guy? I'm like, and now you've drank the Kool-Aid.
It's not Kool-Aid. It's Gatorade. Secondly, that scene where she was in his hut with the pool and the food reminded me of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where she falls in love with her captor, and I think these sisters are all gonna join together, and they're gonna be a ragtag group of 60% Jedis. But when they hold hands, they're 110% Jedi, and that works 70% of the time.
Yeah, it's such a convoluted mess because, oh damn it, I was trying to get one of the decals from my guy, and it shot it up in the air. And I don't know where it landed.
Well, if I'm ranting about Star Wars and you're playing with decals, it means it's time to wrap it up. Is there anything else that is in the inbox that we should share with everybody?
No. So one thing that I did bring up on the broadcast channel for everyone who was on Instagram was what I'm doing is allowing people to ask us questions that we will address on air. So here are some of the questions that people wanted me to. I'm going to drop the brightness so you can see that I'm actually pulling up all the questions.
Now, I'm going to put balsamic as my address. What are you going to use?
What?
Nothing. Continue.
Okay. First question. What do you think the plot of the Superman movie is? I think we actually answered that pretty thoroughly. It's but in reverse.
Yeah, we gave a lot of ideas.
Maybe a little bit on the Ulysses Ultraman stuff. We did that.
Did it.
What are you most excited about this Superman movie? Michael, what are you most excited about the movie?
I'm funny enough, the critique of the world is we don't want another universe. I'm excited for this universe. I think James Gunn is a very talented filmmaker. I'm excited to see him be able to put that stamp on a bunch of different things. I'm excited for a new sandbox that we get to play in.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I like the idea that we're going to get. So my big concern with the Snyderverse was that when Zack Snyder made Man of Steel, it was made by Chris Nolan and David Goyer, and their whole intent was not to make a universe out of it. It was to do The Dark Knight, but with Superman. And then the studio said, we're going to make a universe out of it. And so the second movie, BVS, felt like they were kind of retconning Superman being the only hero. So this is going to be the first time we're going to see superheroes go right out the bat that this is a shared universe. So that's a huge thing for me. I'm excited that this shared universe is going to be a shared universe from the start. And it's not going to be how the MCU was, where they're constantly retconning themselves and adding more stuff, or how DC did it. But this is going to be from the ground up, thought up. When will the rest of Chapter 1 of the DCU lineup be revealed? Probably next year. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think once this film wraps and he goes into his next project, he'll start announcing more things. Give us your thoughts on the Acolyte. I did. It was episode 5 was fantastic. The action was amazing. But I don't know, man. Will the Tomorrowverse be better than DCAU? Probably not. I think the Crisis on Infinite trilogy that they're doing right now has not really stuck the landing. It's not that great. Odds on this, the Injustice bringing back the Snyderverse characters in 2034? No. They're not doing an Injustice film. They're not doing like I don't think they're going to go that route. I think it would be kind of a almost like a Marvel level stunt casting if they decide to bring back the Snyder DCU as like the antagonist for this version's DCU. I think it would be stupid. The Acolyte, turn the lights on or turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. It's not that great.
You can turn them off because you can use your lightsaber as a flashlight. It's very good as a flashlight.
Is Zack Snyder's Justice League going to be like another charity event type of thing? Definitely sounds like it. Like a single 1 or 2 screenings and that's it. Reading or following the Energon universe. I'm not reading or following it. Is the Snyder Cut actually coming to theaters? If so, when? Sounds like it's already had its dates lined up and the date's already sold out. So unfortunately, that's going to be it.
It is going to one theater.
You're going to one theater. Thoughts on the new photos showing Superman saving a child and a train? I think it's fantastic. I think one of the things about Superman has always been that he's supposed to inspire people. And look at it this way. Superman 78, the first Superman film, it was, to this day, it's still considered one of the most Superman depictions of Superman. And he didn't punch anybody. He didn't throw a single damn punch in the whole movie. Not one. He did Superman stuff. He flew around. He saved people. He saved a cat out of a tree in one scene just to show that he did it. But it was very much a Superman being an icon to the world. Superman 2 was the way he started fighting people with fists. But it was very much like Superman needed to be depicted as the hero of the world. So I love the idea that he's just unilaterally saving everybody. Kind of like in like Superman Returns. We talked about this before, that movie was for a lot of people, but one of the best sequences of that film is when the big montage of him saving everybody, saving the plane, the bullet shot to the eye, him basically being everywhere, just saving everything. Like that was the big highlight of that movie, was Superman being Superman. So I love the idea that they did a lot of behind the scenes, like Superman stopping a train, Superman saving a kid from a car accident, like all those behind the scene headlines, all those shots that are going to be probably in a montage sequence. I love that. That's fantastic to me. So now I'm going to read some of these other comments because we have people. Have you caught up in House of the Dragon? Yeah. I think that it was finally very on the nose that they addressed that the war between the green and the black is all because of a misunderstanding, and I love that so much. Christopher Reeves' son. I like how Christopher Reeves' son is be a cameo in Superman. Yeah. We actually talked about it earlier in the thing. Will is on set and filming a scene, and that was it's pretty awesome. I actually love that. Let me see if there are any other comments. I think it's funny. All-Star Superman is number 1 on the best-selling DC on Amazon. It makes me happy to see it. It's a fantastic book. I have All-Star Superman. I think I just have the hardbound one. I don't think I have the absolute version, but it's a great book. It's a great book that encapsulates what's really good about Superman, and I'm loving it. I think for everyone who's bitching and moaning that this film is not it, and this film is going to disappoint and all this stuff, they're the same people that didn't really give the Snyderverse a chance when the Snyderverse first started coming out, and they fell in love with it in the afterthought. And it's a bummer that the Snyderverse ended the way it did, but it's the same thing. I mean, like, the Snyderverse died because the corporate system didn't trust what was happening with it, because people weren't showing up like they thought it would. And they got scared and they backed down, and they made all these terrible decisions, and eventually they all got fired. So I think in the end, we have a good shot now with DC being really great. So I think where we're starting now may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it will land on it because we're getting a lot of directors that are coming out. James Mangold is making a horror film of Swamp Thing. Like, that's a huge win, because the Swamp Thing show was one of the best things DC did in a long time. So I think them hiring the right people and allowing them to craft that story is going to make the DC universe stand out. It's not going to feel like the Marvel formulaic, everything feels the same. It's going to be like, okay, I get this. This is a horror film. This is what this film is. This is what this film is. Like, they'll all have their flavor, and I dig it. And lastly, this will be the last one I bring up here. What do y'all think about the new Hellboy? Did you see the trailer, Michael?
I didn't see the trailer. We can talk about the trailer next time. I saw the picture. He looks like Hellboy.
My first thought was, wow, this Hellboy looks really cheap. It looks kind of silly. Hellboy looks really young. What's going on here? All those things. And then I looked into it some more and I found out the movie takes place in the 50s when Hellboy is supposed to only be like a teenager. So it actually makes sense. Like I was like, oh, okay. So the reason he looks that way is because he's only supposed to have really been here for 20 years, 30 years.
Will it just be a Hellboy movie or will there be the other cast of characters?
The other cast of characters aren't there yet.
Okay, so it's just Hellboy.
Yeah, it's just Hellboy. And it sounds
his dad?
like I think his dad may or may not be in the film. We'll see. Regardless, I think Hellboy just going on a mission with a random agent of the BPRD looking to try to find why this crooked man is hunting people down. It could be a lot of fun. The director of this film made the Crank films, and those films are like an action movie on hardcore steroids.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll then get to see like Hellboy fighting a horde of demons, like just fast-paced, big, meaty hooks into things. Blue, it does look like a fan film right now.
It does. It definitely does. I think that may be what saves it in the end. I think the movie itself was very low budget.
That's good, because the last one did not make its budget.
No, it didn't. Hellboy the Crooked Man takes place in the 50s in the Appalachians. So it kind of fits that vibe of the Mothman Forest and all that stuff. They've got... Oh, they do have his dad there, but his dad is played by someone who looks like he's 25, so that's a win. So no, I think this could work, actually.
Okay.
I'm looking at the cast. I think it could work. What is the budget? Let's find out. 20 million. Yeah, it's meant to be a small budget. It's meant, like, if they legitimately make a weekend in theaters, they'll make their money back. So this is exactly what they're going for.
I wonder if there's even going to be big CG in it then. I wonder if it'll just...
My understanding from reading a bunch of behind-the-scene details is that this movie was made with practical effects. So they're trying to make this movie low budget for a reason.
Okay.
So I think it's fine. We'll see. I mean, the trailer had this very low-budget horror movie vibe to it, which is fine. There was a couple other shots that they released separately of showing Hellboy with his gun, and I thought those looked great. So, but again, it just makes me miss that Guillermo del Toro didn't finish his trilogy. So,
right. Yeah.
It's been a great trilogy.
Super sad.
But on that note, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. As we wrap up again for this week, Michael's throwing his gang signs up.
I throw up gang signs, West Coast.
Speaking of, my wife had never knew who the Wu-Tang Clan was, and I had to show her the Wu-Tang Clan over the week. It was fantastic.
Well, they're East Coast, but I'm glad she now knows about the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I had to show her all that stuff. She's like, "Oh, I know who this is." I'm like, "Yeah, of course you know who this is, but do you know who the Wu-Tang Clan is?" And I started playing like a Cream and all that. It was fantastic.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan.
It was also part of we're kind of ranting. It was also part of our wonderful little descent where I wanted to buy a political poster that says politicians come and go, but Wu-Tang is forever. I wanted to put that in my front yard, and she's like, "No." And I'm like, "I'm going to get it. I'm going to put it in my front yard." But if you want to help support us and help us keep the lights on, patreon.com/thecultureofnerd is the best approach. We are also on pretty much every other medium of social media. So go ahead, scan that QR code, pound us on the social medias, join the broadcast channel. That's a big one.
Pound us, find us and pound us.
I said pound us, but it sounded like I said pound us. No,
okay, we're going to take you to Hound and Pound Town on socials and also this channel.
You got to make everything weird. We're doing this since we were kids. But thank you for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you want to see out of the DCU. What do you think about the set photos? What do you think about this movie? Tell me what you think. Are you excited for it? Are you going to give it a chance? Or in your mind, have you already made up your opinion? And will the movie have to prove to you why it's worth your time? I want to hear everything. So go ahead, sound off in the comments, and we will see y'all next week.